everybody, and welcome to KeyKulture podcast. This is Matei Gheorghiu and your co-host today,
Niilo Tarnanen. Hello, everyone.
Hi Niilo. And today we have great conductor Nazanin Aghakhani, and forgive me for having said it wrong. How is it really said?
Nazanin Aghakhani. And if you want to go for my second last name, because I was born with two surnames, Nazanin Aghakhani Zanjani. But that's just a bit of a, what do you call it? Goodie.
All right. Well, hope everybody remembers her name because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pronounce it again.
Oh, it's fine.
So we wanted to invite Nazanin because she has a very interesting story. She's a conductor who studied in conducting in 3 countries, in Austria, in Finland, and in Sweden. And she also studied electroacoustic composing in Stockholm. And she's been an active YouTuber for a while now. She makes videos about conducting tips. And she has her own ensemble, which plays also her music, among other things. And she's herself Austrian and from a Persian heritage. Is it one parent, both parents? How is it?
Both parents, even a bit of a Russian ancestry. My grandfather was from Georgia, and then we go back to Kazakhstan. So it's a wild mix. Yeah.
Right. And one of the most interesting things about Nani is that I call her Nani because we know each other for many years. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's actually the first time we see each other since 2008, I think.
Sure, that's true. It's
like 12 years. I don't know, Niilo, have we ever met? Probably, right?
I'm not sure actually, because
okay.
I came to academy at 2007, and I was absent most of the year of 2008. Okay. So it's actually pretty possible that we haven't met.
Okay.
For this.
Well, then good that we meet now, at least. Yeah. All right.
In any case,
nice to meet you.
Nani is the first female conductor to conduct in Iran. And could you tell us a bit about that experience? How did you get that gig? How did it happen? How did it feel? How was it?
Well, it was one of the most memorable moments of my life, I would say. I was also pregnant with my son, with my first child. So, I had a big belly. I was actually 8 months pregnant. So it was a big thing in many ways. But to tell you the real story, it started when I was 12, that I started taking private lessons in counterpoint harmony with composer and conductor Thomas Christian David in Vienna. He was very strict. So, I really learned Note gegen Note, the half notes, the real old contrapunct. And he was married to a very, very beautiful and very gifted Iranian soprano, and they would do a lot of projects and a lot of operas performances as well, concert performances in Tehran. And while I was going and seeing him, he would tell me, I make you the first woman to conduct in Iran. I was 12, 13, 14, and when I was 16, basically, he would still tell these things. Well, I never knew what he was talking about. He passed away when I was about 17. And he was very good friends with Erert. Maybe you know the composer, of course, the Austrian composer. So I was, very blessed to have him as this big mentor of, this old composition style and the techniques, how to write a fugue and all these things. But also having someone who spoke Farsi. It was very funny. This Austrian guy who speaks Farsi and who's a good conductor. And basically, about 12 years later, when I was about to take my exams in Finland, there were elections in Iran, and my father was in Vienna going to the booth, going to the embassy. And he watches a lot of foreign culture shows on TV. And so he happened to watch a conductor who is called Mr. Cheknavorian, Loris Cheknavorian, who's also a composer. And so basically, they suddenly are in the same line for the elections. And my father tells him, and I'm in Helsinki in 2A taking my exam. He's like, you know, I have something like you at home. It's my youngest daughter. She's a conductor and she's also composing. So they started talking, and he made it possible to make me come to Iran 2 years later. That's the story.
Wow.
It's a good one, right? And now the funny thing is, I don't know, if I think back, it was quite dangerous because I was young, I was pregnant with the first child, and I haven't been to Iran for 10 years back then. Or no, it's not true, 20 years. So the last time I was there, I was 10, and suddenly I was 30. And so I was super afraid. So I wouldn't wear makeup, and I would clothe very traditionally because I didn't want to make things even more complicated. And so the officials, they started getting a bit scared because there were already riots before that. There was a singer from LA coming, and they were like, oh my God, this is the evil coming. This is pop culture. This is not possible. And now suddenly a woman should conduct. I mean, this is like,
So were there actual protests about this?
there were protests about this, but what they did, they were not informing me from the start. They let me rehearse and rehearse. And we had a huge heat wave. I will never forget. I was like pregnant, and it was 48 degrees, 49 degrees. It was terrible. And then I suddenly, this information leaked that they were about to cancel this concert. So imagine me sitting with 3 Iranian men, me, without war paint, without makeup. They were about 45 and 50. And I told them, look, we practice now thoroughly. If you do not let us have this concert, I will make sure to go back to Europe and tell everyone about this and how you kill culture. Can you imagine me doing this? I mean, I would
Not
never.
really.
This is so crazy. And then suddenly we had this underground concert. So they did not post it publicly, but we have, and it was so weird because Vahdat Hall, the big concert house in Tehran, is actually, it was like this. The Shah came to Austria, to Vienna, and saw the Volksoper, Vienna. And he loved the architecture so much that he made sure they have somehow the copy in Tehran. So I'm standing there, for me, like in a place looking like Volksoper Wien, where I was born, and conducting. It was just absolutely magnificent. And it was sold out. Not even that. People were about to crush the place, so they had to bring extra chairs, and really, you know, celebrities were there. People, you know, I don't know if you know the great artist who lives in the States now, Shirin Neshat. She's, you know, like Abramovich, one of the most important female artists who had to leave Iran, and her whole family came. You know, it was the most memorable concert of my life, I would say. And also, I have to tell you something.
Wait a second. So this was the underground concert, or did the actual concert also happen? Or
no, this was the concert, but their thing was not actually. I found out later they did not post it in the papers or online or anything, but it leaked anyway. People came, and the thing was that I have to admit that as a conductor, I've never ever been treated as well as in Iran.
right. I was going to ask that. How did the orchestra treat you?
Well, the orchestra, no, everyone was very respectful. It was always maestro. And it was, you know, I had a wonderful room, and they suddenly found out that I love watermelon. So every morning I had fresh watermelon on my table and black tea. And if they would leave the room, they would go backwards, so they would not show me the back. I mean, It was like, yes, you know, yes. I mean, I take all responsibility, and I lead you to the concert. And I love this respect that you're bringing me as your leader.
How did the public react?
Oh, we had to give 3 encores. It was outer space experience.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for it. Really
Okay,
grateful.
now the real question: how did the press react, or the, let's say,
Or
the
did they
public?
knew anything? Did
Well,
they?
no, it was, it was a little, or maybe a bigger revolution, but you have to know that, I mean, I left immediately because I was pregnant. I couldn't stay there for a longer time. And interestingly, the organization told me, because just a couple of weeks ago, colleague from London told me, I heard you were not re-invited because you were having too much makeup or something. And I was like, what? Because then the organization told me you were dressed too much in too old-fashioned, stylish, like I should have been more open, but I didn't dare. So they had the problem of someone being very strict and very serious about the job. So this was one side, and the other side was, which made me very happy, I had a lot of it was 50-50, 50 men, 50 women participating in the orchestra, high quality musicians. And I got message that unfortunately I could not, there were so many messages, I could not reply to them all. Please forgive me. That many ladies actually, through this project, through this concert, found the strength to leave Iran to pursue their dream of becoming a conductor. So they're studying conducting now, or maybe became a conductor. But this made me very proud, personally speaking.
Wow. Do you know now if they're like, I mean, you were not called back, I understand, right? After this. This was the only time.
This was the only time I was asked back a few years ago, like 2 years ago or three, but um, it did not work out for some reason because they also had funding problems. So the orchestra, I think, is still in need of state support. And it's a problem in Iran. It's, I don't have to tell you all the details, but art is bleeding, and they don't want to put effort and money into the support of art. So it's a big problem, actually.
How about, go ahead, Niilo.
Yeah, I was about to ask, has it been a problem for a long time? I mean, for example, from the start of the revolution, or
I guess
is it
so.
more, is it
I
more
guess so.
recent? Has it gotten more bad in recent years?
Well, it's funny, but I think it goes in waves. But I think the revolution was the big kill of everything that is fun, like a little bit like the coronavirus. you know Everything that is fun, that means joy, nourishment. I mean, if you listen to the music my parents grew up to, and if you watch the shows my parents were watching, the pictures, I mean, my mom wearing stuff I would never wear, like amazing mini skirts, and my dad having this amazing hairdo, and I mean, they had great times. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah,
Same
it's,
people. So yeah, the revolution, basically like a big comet, killed a lot.
how about like, do you have any information? Have there been other female conductors since you in conducting any orchestra in Iran?
Yes, there has been a lady. She has been working with choir a lot, and I think she's been also teaching a lot. And actually, there was wrong information the Guardian put up, was stating her as the first woman, but I mean, I don't mind. I don't care, actually, because we're all in this together, and we're all trying to work and bring art to people. So yes, I guess it opened up some space for more possibilities. And I mean, I'm grateful that I was as brave to say those things in this dark room with these three gentlemen, but I don't know if I would do this now. I don't know. Maybe.
So what has changed?
Well, I have two kids now, and I guess I'm closer to death anyway. So I don't know.
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
I don't.
small follow-up question, like, have you conducted anywhere else in the Middle East
Unfortunately not. No,
Okay,
I tried
no.
to, and I'm open for it. There are not so many orchestras to address in the first place, but what I personally love about their way of music making is, first of all, they know everything by heart. It's in our culture, poetry, music, whatever you name it, you do by heart. You use your brain, basically. This is the first thing. And the other thing is, especially when it comes to strings, also winds a little bit. They have a certain way of playing portamento in
Yes.
glissando, which I find very sweet. It reminds me of the orchestras in the 50s in Europe and also in the North, actually, especially Great Britain. And I like that. Well, in some spots, I had to really tell them, no, please, clean start, but well, I like the way of sound making. Comes from the language, of course.
So that there's a bit of bend in every turn of
Not in every, but they love doing it. Yeah, they love glissandi, they love portamento. I mean, it sounds like a stereotype, but it's the truth, actually. But you have to, it depends on what you want. If we do Wiener Classic, of course, I have to be a little bit more strict with some things. But I turned off every notification, but maybe it was my computer. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
all right.
It happens to everyone sometimes.
Bling.
Interesting. Yeah. As of maybe turning this back to Europe, I mean, both conducting and composing, they are also in Europe still quite male-dominated music professions.
Yeah.
So, what's your experience in this in Europe? Have you had hard times in European countries because of being woman in a male-dominated
Yeah, well,
realm?
it's like
Have you faced any discrimination?
well, I don't know if you read my yesterday's post. Just yesterday, a technician came to my house, and I mean, this was the weirdest experience for some time. First of all, he would enter my house without a mask to start with during lockdown. The second thing, he wants the garage to be open so he can put his car. Okay. So I'll go down, and the thing is, you have to open the door to the main garage, and then there is a button to click and it opens, right? So I go there, and it's just one single door. Suddenly he stands behind me, grabs me, and I'm almost about to scream. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, not to open the garage. And I said, do you really think I don't know how to open my garage? So, these things, to tell you the truth, I have experienced these things still happen far too often, but there is, if you look at Europe, there is a difference between North and South. There is a difference. There is a difference. Like,
where would you draw the line between the North and South?
Somewhere in the middle of Germany, Berlin, maybe, or okay. I don't know.
Interesting.
But I lived in Munich as well, and there it already feels like Austria, to tell you the truth. And it all has pro and cons. Like when I was in Sweden, I was 2021 when I decided to go in Sweden, because in Vienna they told us, you're the first ladies to study conducting. We're gonna treat you like hell because you're not gonna make it. You're women. Women are not supposed to conduct. But hey, you did the exam, you were good. We have the results, so we have to teach you. This was a nice start, right? So this was 2000. And I mean, I was 8 when I decided I want to be a conductor. I was very young. And in piano classes, I would also perform my own compositions. So the urge to perform was always there, and to perform with masses. And so I had a Swedish boyfriend, a composer, and who said, look, this was pre-internet. You have to check out Panola, Jorma Panola. So I did my research as much as possible back in those days. And I did the exchange program, but I prepared it secretly. So I did my bachelor's in Vienna, which was called the first exam at the university back then. Now they changed the system. And then I had to do an entrance exam in Sweden for the exchange program. Back then we had to do entrance exams. And so they took me, and then I said, thank you, Vienna, but I'm leaving for Sweden. So that's when my Swedish time started. So I was suddenly engaged in a culture shock, because in Vienna I was known as a pianist, and I was organized concert, and then I would organize concerts in concertas, also small jams for back in the days for teenagers and children. But I had friends, family. It was suddenly I was in Stockholm in the dark. You know this, right, Matei? In the dark, and
Don't remind me.
it's just impossible to describe, because we Iranians and Romanians were quite similar from the culture. Most of my friends are Romanians. The jokes, the food, the family, And then suddenly you're there all alone, Niilo. I don't know if you can imagine how that feels. And Vienna is also quite, you kiss each other on the cheek. I guess probably that's also dead after Corona, but you give a kiss on the cheek.
Now that I don't think that bothered Finnish people very much anyway. But.
No,
What?
exactly. But no,
don't bother. Are you really sure? You the Corona killing, it doesn't make.
The Corona
it doesn't make a difference.
Kissing might bother.
No, but the Swedes, they hug.
I still remember once I had the landlord, very nice family, and they did something nice for me. I don't know. We were living in the same house, and then I went and hugged the wife and kissed her on the cheek. And then, yes, and then then some, like, she didn't say anything. The husband didn't say anything, and then I heard, like, after some time that in Finland we don't do that, and I was like, oh no, they must have thought I'm like some kind of like psychopath or something.
So this was in Helsinki.
When did you get to Finland?
No. What?
When did you get to Finland?
2007.
Oh, okay, that's when we met. So
Yeah,
I saw you actually in your first days. Okay, I remember.
Yeah,
okay.
That was not happening in the first day. So actually I learned this rather late. But
no, but to make a long story short, the good thing was when I went to Scandinavia that my gender was not a topic at all. They would not address what I would wear on stage. Of course, just the practical side maybe. But also there I did not get enough help, actually. That's another story. But nobody would open the door. If you would go out with a guy, he would not pay your dinner. This was also weird. So I had a major culture shock. And Finland, interestingly, is a different story. I feel more at home in Finland because I feel there's a little bit of a Russian taste to it. So I can relate to this hard-working structure. Work hard, work out, and then you drink and go to the sauna. I can really relate to that. It's my blood, this hard-working thing. Whereas the Swedes, vi ska ha ett möte, you have a meeting, then you work a little bit, then you have a meeting. And like, what? I want to work. And then you have another little meeting. I mean, they're happier, but it's just not my personality.
Oh, well.
Niilo, are you from Helsinki, or from where?
Well, I'm originally from Espoo, so the western suburbs.
So
and now he moved to Vantaa, so he's doing everything.
Oh, globetrotter. Okay, cosmopolitan.
No, well.
But would you say? Sorry, just a small follow-up question. Like, but would you say things are changing with regards to being a female conductor nowadays?
Well, the funny thing is, what is a bit weird to me? Like, before that, I call them the mothers of conducting, which is Simon Young to me, and Marian Alsop, of course. These were our heroines, and a few other ones to name as well. And the older we get, of course, we are becoming the pave makers for others. So teaching has become a very important part. And also accepting that maybe not everything works out in one life. And but still not giving in, because we're not that old yet, right? So did I answer your question? I don't think so.
Not really. Like
Wait, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So the funny thing is that there are a lot of women conducting. I think more in Scandinavia than in Middle Europe. So again, you see in German, we would say Nord-Süd-Gefälle. You see a difference between the north and the south of Europe. I don't know why. It's the climate, probably. And basically, my way of dealing with it is not to give in, not to be silent about it, to post about it, to use media, to talk about it. It's very normal. Like the other day, I was composing, actually, I was working on a string quintet. And I have this lovely opportunity to use, not now during lockdown, but in normal case, a room from the church, although I'm Muslim, people, where they have a nice grand piano. So, I go to the bakery, take my little, it's a little mouse, actually, a sweet mouse, wonderful. And then I start composing, working on it, play Bach first, and then suddenly two electricians come in, checking on the Wi-Fi. Something was wrong with the Wi-Fi in that house. And I'm like, do you need something? Can I help you with anything? No, we're just checking on the Wi-Fi. Okay. So they go out and come in again, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, do you need longer time? How long are you working on this? Only 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You do not disturb me. It's fine. I just continue composing. And they were looking at me like this, like as if I'm an alien. Like a woman tells them, it's fine, you're dismissed. You don't actually disturb my work. They did not say hello. They did not say, excuse me, am I disturbing you? Oh, some lady is playing Bach, how beautiful. Oh, now she's playing. No, I'm working, and I have the key to that room. So it was really rude action. And yes, women can compose and are composing and always have been composing. So Austria is actually a big challenge. And I guess that's the reason why I'm back here. I did not want to come back, a lot of circumstances, but I'm grateful I'm here and I can do a lot of work. And yeah.
On the other hand, both of these examples involved electricians and plumbers. and not like other fellow musicians who are inviting you or not inviting you because you're a girl. Like
well,
how is that going? Like, let's forget about the electricians.
But don't you think it actually, you're talking about, okay, there were only technicians, but to me it's a mirror of society.
Sure.
It's a mirror of society. Come on, let's face it.
But do you know, like, for example, that you could get a gig somewhere and someone says like, let's not invite her because we would prefer a man? Like, no,
well, I have encountered other things, like the quote, like meaning, oh, we have to invite this conductor because she's a woman.
Yeah, which is the reverse. It's like the affirmative action, kind of.
And or people tell me I have to do women composers all the time. I'm like, listen, why? Just because I'm a woman, I have to perform female composers? I perform good music. And I have seen sexism against my male colleagues a lot. And
in what way?
In what way?
Yeah.
I tell you, agencies. We want you to be in our roster because you're a woman. Okay, have you watched my clips? No, not yet, but you're a woman. Do you know about my work? No, but it's okay, you're a woman. And then you go to their roster and they're like, tak, 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 like 20 female conductors. And I know some of them and I'm like, whoa, this is not gonna work out, So this is the quote versus quality. And I'm still for quality. I want people to listen to my music because they like quality. Why I performed my own music with this orchestra and this first concert we had is because, to tell you the truth, it's cheaper. I didn't have the budget to pay another composer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
This
Go
is
on,
my
go on.
partner actually. He's writing, "Are you still in the interview?" Where was I? So that's
Yeah,
why I
about the
also,
roasters and being, let's say, roasters looking that they wouldn't be based on quality. This is where approximately where
yeah.
we were.
I mean, people also ask me often, "Are you for the quote?" Meaning that you should
By
look
quote, you
at,
mean quota. You mean
yeah,
like, yeah, yeah.
like there should be, if you look at the program, there should be a mix of female composers, male composers, female directors, female conduct, of course. uh, but why should we leave out on quality? I don't get that.
I think the ones who would like promote these kind of quotas would say, well, it's only temporary, even though it's indefinitely. Like we don't know when it's good. It's never said like this year or for 5 years we're going to do this. It's always kind of like you don't know when the quota is going to end. But the idea would be that let's promote these people now from X or Y minority, because we just have to get more names so that it becomes more accustomed, and then with time things will adjust. And so it's kind of a, you don't like destroy quality, you will still have quality, but you just have to promote also, because otherwise nothing's going to change by itself.
But to get back to your question, I think, was it Niilo or who was asking it, that if I've encountered sexism, the thing is, you would never find out. You would never find out why you did not get this gig. I mean, now I know why certain doors did not open for 8 years, because I had this encounter with this conductor I was assisting, which was very openly uh, a sexual assault. Thank God, in front of somebody else, so he got physical. But I did not understand that it took waves of 8 years, and he made sure that I was blacklisted everywhere. So I wouldn't know if somebody says, "Oh, I don't want her because she's a lady," or
Right,
you don't
right.
find out about these things. You just know, you just see doors are closed. Ah, a door is open, and then you walk through the open door. It's basically like that.
I think this is a really good point. Like much of the decision making is actually happened in a way that you won't know why.
No.
You won't know why you didn't have a grant. You
Oh,
won't know why you didn't have a commission, and so on. So it's
yeah,
true. It's really hard to know it.
yeah.
Maybe you know it in 8 years. Maybe you will know it in 20 years. Maybe you will know
Maybe not,
never.
never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
in
funny
my,
thing is, yes, let's go, Matei.
I was going to say that because I've been part of many discussions about equality and discrimination and stuff like that. But I would say that if we really, really, really want to talk about how to make the musical field more equal, let's say, there is a whole area of complete lack of transparency when it comes to how people get chosen to conduct, to be soloists,
You
to get
name it.
commissions. Like nobody wants to fix that. Everybody wants to fix about how many female composers or conductors we can have,
Oh,
how many black people can we have to be soloists, or like
um,
they're trying to fix just a second somewhere else, but you never know why someone gets selected for this or that. There is no open application process for anything. It's all gray area all the time.
and to tell you the truth, now I don't think I will make many friends by saying this, but who cares? I'm 40. It's okay. Um, who is booking us artists? It's seldom musicians. You see, it's people who are in the economic industry. It's okay, how do we make money? How do we, they mostly don't have a sense for art. This is a major problem. So they don't have a feeling for quality. They have an eye, maybe, okay, this is the better picture for the program, or you know and I sort of decided to accept this game and lay back a little bit, because I was very stressed in my 30s about this. And now I'm like, look, actually, it's not about art anymore, and I'm not interested because I'm interested in the art form, and I'm interested in quality. It's just like, actually it's the same like, what do you call it, actors. It's the same like actors, the height, the color of the hair. I'm not kidding you. It's really, if you go through some agencies and rosters, well, there are pro
The
and cons
marketability.
everywhere. Yeah, but it's you feel like an actor or actress, and
I think the difference with actors is that when you go to get a role in a movie, you know that they're looking for that kind of actor who looks like this, who behaves like this. And
okay.
if you don't get the role, it's not because you're a bad actor, but because they just wanted someone who in their opinion fits better the description for that role. I mean,
I agree. I just meant that what they want in a roster is a variety of looks, not a variety, not necessarily a variety of quality. But I don't know, it's different, and you can also see different people have different tastes. Like, and it's also so funny. Like, to many people, when they look at me, they, I don't know what they have in mind. They think I'm Sherazad, or I don't know what. I'm not. When I conduct, I'm quite Finnish. I'm very strict. I'm very clear. Okay, when I compose, it has always an oriental element in it. It's my upbringing, of course, but it's you trigger something in people. And I have noticed that when it comes to female conductors, still they more so like to be on the safe side. So like the hair pulled back. I get headache if I have my hair tied back, but and short, whatever. But it's actually, I think it's a bit of luck and lottery if you make it to an agency or not. For me, the big point was not giving into this sexual assault about 12 years ago, and this really closed major doors. Well, what can I do? That's it.
yeah.
Bad.
Wow.
I would like to ask one more follow-up question about not that much maybe the kind of processes of discrimination and so on, but more of like kind of the effect on quality. Do you think that anything will change in the essence of musical life in the coming decades when the gender balance is getting more and more equal? I mean, is it so that some tastes of music come more to the front than before, or is there something that some styles in composition, some styles in conducting that might get more prominence than in before? Or if it's happening, is it just an accident, or has it anything to do with the idea that we are letting more and
Women.
more people with more diverse backgrounds to get to the positions where you really deal with the quality?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question. I think the general answer to all this is that everything is in movement. So if you look at the development conductor and orchestra, for instance, throughout the past 100 years, we're far away from the dictatorship, but you still need, while rehearsing an orchestra or opera ensemble, whatever, you still need this dictatorship during rehearsal just to be very fast. So you need some elements. Now, the thing is that we're not dealing with two genders, we're already dealing with three genders, the transgenders, the undecided. This is coming up as well. And I remember there was in Lahti, I was conducting, and a young chap came to me. Yeah, he just started conducting, and I myself you know, found myself to be very amazed, and I don't know, I was a bit frozen by the fact that he had glittery nails. And I was like, how does he want to conduct with glittery nails? I don't get it. Like, he had dark blue, I will never forget this, like the night sky, glittery nails. It's like, yeah, I mean, your Sibelius was amazing. And I was like, okay, I have to work on myself. I have to open up because right? because we're still in this, it has to be an old guy, gray hair. uh the conductor, the composer has to be a nerd with thick glasses. So you're getting there, Niilo.
I have always been there.
and and I mean, if it's a woman, then it has to be atonal as possible, right? Then we have to go against the stream. And no, I like to write tonal. I am so sorry, you know. So uh, I don't know if I can really answer your question, but I believe throughout Corona, throughout the revolution of the internet, the the chat systems, the falling away of the surnames. People know me by Nazanin now, you know, which was very weird to me because it's Mrs. Aghakhani, the conductor, you know. But these things fall apart. It becomes personal. People rehearse in jeans in front of the orchestra. I'm like, what is happening, you know? So I'm quite old-fashioned, to tell you the truth. But things are going more towards eye to eye, not top down anymore. I would say friendship. So I also can think that composers might go more towards, okay, guys, friends, what would you want to play? What did you always wanted to perform? Let's do something together. That's how I worked with my orchestra, with my people. And I let them improvise a lot during the pieces, which can be quite fun because each performance is different.
So now
So
you're describing the way you work with your own ensemble, right?
no, and also how I set my pieces, how I
Ah,
compose.
okay.
I always consciously leave free elements because it also reminds me of my heritage. The Oriental music is very much a music of improvisation. You have melodic structure, you have a melodic field or a harmonic field where you can be very free, but you have to express a story or tell a story within that harmonic and melodic field.
This is actually very interesting because earlier on you were referring um, that in the Persian tradition, or maybe more broadly in that area, there's also tradition of learning by heart. So
Yes,
I would say that this makes an interesting um, combination. I mean, learning by heart and then improvising with a kind of given uh, platform, so to say. It's very different. I would say I would immediately buy this, and this has a lot to do with how I approach stuff myself. But
yeah,
it's in striking contrast with the kind of stereotypic idea of what the orchestra musicians do. I mean, that
exactly.
they just take the sheet music and then they just play it
Yeah, well,
exactly as it's written, no
yeah,
thinking happening there, but it's well, of course it's not this, of course it's more complicated than this, but this is kind of the rude
I
stereotype
like when
that might have that that kind of the stereotypic image of nowadays orchestra musicians of just doing their work is just reading notes and just executing them without thinking, without learning by heart, without improvising, without making their own decisions. I don't know.
I like the part when you say that the stereotypical classical musician is not thinking.
well, what can I tell you? I guess when I'm composing, I like to tickle them consciously and to lead them out of their comfort zones. So Niilo, what you're saying is actually true. And Matei, it's the truth. When you're invited as a conductor, they all look at their watches when is the break. You know, they're not like, oh my God, we're doing Brahms second now, or oh, we're doing, I don't know, uh, whatever, Sariahu. No, when is the break? Because there are workers. It is like that. So I make my musicians, my orchestra musicians, sing. They hate it, but then after the performance, they love it. And I make them improvise. I make them speak. I make them make noises with their mouths, whatever, with their feet, or I challenge them. And I guess the plus that I have when I'm when I'm conducting, I know how to show these things. This is the first thing. And the second thing is that I know what their limits are. I just know the orchestra members so well. It doesn't matter where you travel to. It's just the same psychology, actually. The traditions may differ, like the mentalities may differ. You have to, of course, be informed. How do you greet the Finns? How, not in the language, but they don't like, okay, my name is Nazanin and I grew up. No, they are not interested in this. No niin, alusta. That's it, If you start in Austria or in Germany like this, they're like, oh, that's an insult. She did not even introduce herself. So you have to know about the mentalities. But
maybe this is the reason why I don't have a big international career. I just don't know how to talk small talk.
Not yet. I tell you, your name already is known in Iran because Niilo is a beautiful Iranian name for a girl. But that's another story.
Wow. Well, I can make there a double or triple culture shock then.
Yeah, exactly. No, but to tell you the truth, I like to tickle them a lot. But my thank you to them is that I write quite tonal. So that's why people, and I write for now. I mean, I'm working on a bigger project, but I write rather shorter elements for now. Yeah.
I want to ask you, since you started talking about the composer Nazanin, how about the YouTuber Nazanin?
Yes.
Why did you start that? How much time does it take you? And in general, how do you divide your time between conducting and composing and your now online life, let's say? Because they all demand strong mental focus in the end.
Don't forget family life, which is very strong now during the pandemic. Like I haven't been, I just have to. I have a student, Lisa Matei, amazing pianist, and it was funny because I have also another student who became a normal student of conducting in Vienna now, Tobias Streitner, and they both were like, we were just talking yesterday. They were like, I mean, we read it from your posts, but we cannot believe you're cooking and baking. What happened to you? So basically, through the pandemic, I have more time for the family. I'm very slow, to tell you the truth. I'm very slow in the writing process. It depends if you know it. If you suddenly have the flow, then it just pours out of you, and you're like, oh, I'm too slow. My hand is too slow for whatever. But I would say I'm slow. I'd like to take things in portions. And so I divide my day into portions, and I like to have rhythm. So I would in the morning go to the bakery, take this little tasty mouse, and go to the piano. Then I know I'm composing and I'm off. And so I find it difficulty during the pandemic to adjust to new rhythms all the time. Now with the homeschooling, and now, thank God, since I moved to Styria, not Syria, unfortunately. No, but Styria is a very nice place, actually. They accept me as being a conductor and a composer, so they actually take care of my kids. There is a special Corona school, or a bunch of people take care of the kids who have parents that are working. In Vienna, they did not see my work as work. Can you believe that?
In Vienna?
City of music, Niilo. So basically, I'm quite slow, but it's possible. And to tell you the truth, the YouTubing takes a lot of time.
I know, right?
It's absolutely, it's crazy. Nobody, they think like, oh, you just put out another post. No,
you click the button.
3 hours.
Yes.
And for the filming stuff, you have to, you have to get dressed, you have makeup, you have the light, it's not like the microphone. Then a lot of times I'm in bad shape, so I have to do retakes. We're not robots. So the YouTubing takes a lot of time. But it was actually Lehrer Auerbach, dear friend of mine, who told me, look, you should do something. You should there are some YouTubers, they give technical advice, but there's nothing about conducting. You should start something. So she inspired me, and my students were like, hey, look, we're on the phone all the time. Couldn't you do something and inspire us a little bit? So this was the story.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
If anybody is thinking, how are me and Matei doing this podcast, it goes that way, that Matei is the YouTuber and I'm the one with the family.
Okay.
No, but I
Great.
can look. I mean, when the first time I did the first videos, I remember that it might have taken like something like 10 hours in 1 week,
Yeah.
just editing 2 podcasts,
Of
because
course.
I had to learn how to use the program, and
Yeah.
that takes time. Then you make mistakes, then you go back, then
It's terrible.
and this uploading, and like, I mean, I
Oh,
have like,
terrible.
yeah, think about
Now,
like if you have an 1 hour video, you have to, like, when you click the export button on the program, it takes 1 hour to export it, and some
exactly.
error can happen at any time. Then you have to upload it to YouTube, which takes another hour,
2 hours.
yeah, or 2
I
hours.
know the problem. It's terrible. But thank God you have better internet in Finland than we do here in Austria. No,
Sure,
but to
sure.
tell you the truth, it's a decision, and I think my way of dealing with it was to stick with 1 day of the week. Monday is my conducting tutorial. Now, during the pandemic, the first lockdown, it did not make sense. Also now, when we were pre-lockdown too, it did not make sense to record new conducting tutorials. We don't know when we're allowed to be on stages. It just did not make sense. Like, and also, having had 55 episodes, I think I gave the base. Now I can talk about psychology of leadership and these things. But I came to the studio of my friend, fantastic photographer who normally does not film, so he did an exception, Stefan Fürtbauer, and he was very nervous about it, and he's a loving chap. Amazing photographer. And suddenly we were in this studio with preps, with different items, and I was like, okay, Stefan, just roll. So I started taking things and talking about them, of course, putting them into relation to my artistical approach. And so now I created a new series for the lockdown, because it's called Nazanin's Personal Thoughts, which come on Thursdays. But this makes much more sense to talk about, or to put focus on philosophy as well, because it's a depressing time for many people, not only for us artists, for many people. It's just a few percentage of people who are blooming in their profession. Well, I'm not selling masks, so so yes, YouTubing takes a lot of time and effort, so thank you for your podcasts. I love them.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And I think you're totally correct that this is a good time for philosophy.
Yes.
I mean, many people are thinking about their life, about the world around them, and we might really need do stuff differently after this crisis. So
Yes.
and of course during it, but also after it. So kind of there's a lot of thinking of what would be the new normal. To get a bit back to the question about the uses of time, you referred that you have kind of, or you used to give your Mondays to the YouTube tutorials, but how about otherwise? How about then you work as conductor, composer, then you also perform as a pianist? How do you divide your time with this? You said already that you kind of split the time to a certain kind of moments where you
Yeah.
focus to something, but is there anything more kind of any more concrete details about that to give?
Well, at the moment, I find it very difficult to focus on one thread at the moment, and I guess it's the depressing time. It's the depression. But and also, since I just recently moved here, I have to build up everything new. I don't have babysitters through Corona. I cannot have babysitters. Normally, my mom would visit from London. She lives in London, so without my mother, I could not travel for conducting. The concerts are canceled or postponed until nowhere. So when it comes to conducting, um, since I've been doing it for so long, it's and it's a recreational work. You have the score, and I did a lot of jump ins also for contemporary music. You just know to be very fast. It's a craft that I know to put out very fast. So I don't need much preparation. It depends if it's a tough concert and I have to jump in, like last fall, with a crazy program like 5 Orchesterstücke, Schönberg, Shostakovich first, and Rachmaninoff second piano concerto. Then I have to lock myself in. And a friend, Irene Suchi, thank you so much. She gave me her late partner's composer's studio, so I could work there for 3 days, and my mother was with the kids. Otherwise, no chance. And when it comes to composing, I have my phases. Now I feel I need daylight to compose, and sometimes I need to write when the world is silent, in the dark. I don't know, how is it with you guys?
I mean, at this point, I can tell you that light night doesn't matter anymore. 3 years it took me to.
Oh God.
Yes, 3 years it took me to get used to this, but now I've made a lot of mental preparation for myself not to care whether it's like July or November. Like it's all the same.
Yeah.
Maybe I have the kind of combination of both, like light and silence. You rarely get the both simultaneously.
That's true.
But at least if you have one of them, it makes you have kind of good conditions.
Yeah.
Or at least me have good conditions. So I prefer doing the creative work either first in the morning.
Exactly.
If I have been able to kind of just do all the practical stupid stuff to go to the afternoon.
Yeah.
Or then the other option is that when everybody else is sleeping and I have my own moment of kind of solitude and nobody's kind of wanting me, so then I use some of that time. But of course, it's really hard to do the both on the same day, especially for many days in a row. So it depends a lot of the process. I can say that when I'm really on the flow mood, then I can go all day. Then I don't care.
Exactly.
But because you can't really build your compositional process just for the best days. So I have tried to have at least 2 days in a week a possibility to start first in the morning with this and only this.
And are you guys, how is it for you? Do you rather write for projects, or do you discipline yourself to, like Brahms, to sit behind the piano and do the counterpoint at 5 a.m.?
Oh, no, there is no counterpoint at 5 a.m. I'll tell you that. At 5 a.m. there is only one thing I do, and that is sleeping.
Me, no. I have, well, I have insomnia at times, but okay.
But no, I think I've learned throughout the years to tickle the muse in the proper way so that it kind of comes when I ask her to come.
Okay.
Of course, no, I can totally tell you that there are good days and bad days, but usually I think the bad days are only bad days because I don't know how to go on.
Sorry that I'm laughing. But
it's not so if I know, like if I remember, like next thing I do this, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. It's no way that tomorrow is going to be a bad day. But if I don't know, I'm like, okay, I'm happy with this passage. What do I do now? Maybe I do this or this. Well, I'll figure out tomorrow. Then there is a chance for a bad day, because then I start procrastinating and so on, because I'm afraid, because I don't know what I do next.
But the thing is, I found this process also very interesting, to sit in front of your handwriting, or I don't know, do you write by hand first and then?
In sketching, yes.
Sketch. But I like that process of, I've been sitting in front of it, trying to solve my own riddle and go like, and I find this process also very vital, like having a day where you go like, it does not make sense to me. I don't know how to go on from there. It needs that moment. And you always actually get, what do you call it in English? You get awarded and rewarded for that black moment, right? The next day you always at least, you get rewarded to going back to that music, to your idea, and trying to give it a shot and a chance. That's my feeling. If you give up on it, then you're lost.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
as
my
I think
feeling.
yeah, to answer your previous question about the counterpoint moments in 5 a.m. Maybe not in 5 a.m., but I in recent years I have started doing some of that. So I just write something without any knowledge of where is it coming to. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
actually really nice to
It's
do
beautiful.
always a bit of something, and then later on it maybe finds its place in somewhere, and if not, then who cares? It was still have nice moment with music,
Yeah.
but mostly I need to say it's on projects.
So you feel more comfortable in preparing and writing for projects, like you have an aim in mind, or the setting or the
I guess
instrumentation.
it's I guess it's more of because I also teach music theory, and that takes approximately half of my time. Like
Yes.
it's this year it's this way. Normally it might be even more of the teaching. So the time and especially nowadays when I also have two kids, the moment when I finally can compose, I probably I'm very looking forward to a certain goal
Yeah.
because of that. But
Well, I mean, Leif Segerstam always said, if you want to compose, you need two things: time and money. That's what Leif
yes,
Segerstam told me.
and
is
And
maybe one of the persons in the realm of composition who might have more money than time.
yeah, well, I don't know.
I can
Nowadays, he has a lot of time to
I can
recharge.
tell you that in my case, at least, I've always had time or money, but never both at once, at least.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
So
it's
I'm waiting
interesting.
for that day.
Yeah, it's the same here. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, never both. Yeah, let's aim for that.
Right.
So, Nazanin, on your website, you make a metaphor of conducting as sculpting and composing as painting. I
Yeah.
think this is a really interesting metaphor. So, could you elaborate it a bit? What do you mean by it?
Well, you could also turn it around, actually, because actually in German, in Viennese, we say Pinseln, like the conductor is having a brush and is painting.
Ah,
But since I decided to work mostly without baton within the past year, I feel the sculpturing has become more obvious to my profession as a conductor. So I feel I can create the sound energy here and really pass it on. Or so I have it more in the fingers. It's a physical, exciting experience that I've encountered throughout the past years.
hmm.
And the composing, I write by hand. I tell you, I gave it a shot. I tried to learn Sibelius, Finale, whatever you name it. I just don't like it. I cannot get bothered with it to have copyists. I cannot. I'm sorry. I told you the truth now. I'm one of those
We
nerds.
we we are not the owners of the programs, and
No, no, I
so
love it.
we
But
don't really care if you like it or not.
And
no,
to
no,
be
no.
honest, I
I
think you're not the one to be sorry. I think
Oh,
if you work by hand and then you have a copyist, I would love to have it that way. And
oh,
I'm looking forward to have it that way quite soon because, well, let's see.
yeah. I mean, it's also not that easy to find great copies. A lot of students have helped me, and they're also very busy with their universities. So now actually I'm hiring really professional ones, and it's you have to have the money for it. But for in some cases, some solo pieces, people actually perform from my handwritten music. So it can be bad, but if I'm a good girl, then they can read it. So that's why, to me, the act of composing is the one of writing, of drawing, of putting something to paper, to a canvas. But as Matei, we talked before, you said correctly that, as I studied electroacoustic composition and you work with the room, you work with many dimensions, you know. Of course it's sound sculpturing as well, so it's both, but it's basically creating sound with your hands. For me, composing is an act of creation which comes from your hands, actually, doesn't it? I don't know.
Do you compose electroacoustic music still, or do you compose
Not
mostly for orchestra?
I compose mostly for orchestra, but I have done installations. The last one was about 4 years ago for exhibitions, sound installations. That's fun. That's fun. It's but to tell you the truth, also there I'm not up to date anymore with the latest programs. But the good thing is I know my way around. So if I've being recorded by someone, like my concerts are being recorded, and you have the ear, you have a trained ear. And also what was interesting while I was studying this, Bill Brunson from New York was my teacher. I love him very much. I owe him a lot. My hearing changed because we had to do etudes, like analog etudes, like augmentations, diminutions, cutting, all these things. And so I was forced suddenly to listen to sound from a different perspective and from a different angle. And for instance, I made this etude, an ode to Vienna, where I would have three things from Vienna, like a typical beer, Gösser. And actually, where I am right now is the place of the Gösser beer. And I can almost see the factory. Then a Mannerschnitt, I don't know if you know that one, like the hazelnut thingy, and some other thing that I cannot remember. But when you open this sweet stuff, it makes a certain sound. And I augmented this sound, and it sounded like a bomb. And by looking at sound with different eyes, with different ears, it really enhanced my way of conducting and directing the orchestra. It was amazing. Or even singers, because you hear so many different things suddenly with help of computers and microphones. It was the best thing I ever did during studies, because I was studying with Panula, and I was alone there without friends, family. I felt bored, so I went to the composition department and said, look, I've always done stuff with the computer on my own behalf, like drum and bass and stuff, but still, I was messing around. And I said, could you help me? I would like to know more. And then suddenly I was in the class with the freaks, with the geeks. It was fun. It was great.
By the way, about talking about male-dominated fields, electroacoustic composing, I guess it's also even more male-dominated field than like composing, no? Was there any other girls there?
I have no insight, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I know many people, especially in Wien Moderne, that actually like to work with distortions, with microphones, with plugins, with I know.
No, but I mean, then in Sweden, when you did study it, like I guess all the other ones were also guys, no?
No, 50-50. 50-50. I remember
Matei,
exactly.
it's Sweden anime.
Yeah.
It's not Italy.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a great time. I missed that time. It was fun.
I want to get you a bit in trouble now. You
Why?
have said to me that you don't want an agent because you don't want others to control your life. How would an agent affect your life?
Well, let's put it that way. I have had my share in my experiences, and I have to admit I also liked it to some certain extent, because you get scheduled and they prepare everything nicely for you. Of course, you give off 20% of what you earn, but you hardly ever have a saying on the program, a saying on the process, a saying on the artistical approach. But I'm very grateful that I had this experience. I was with two different agencies, so I had very different takes on that. And I wouldn't say that I would never, ever again be with an agent, but my dream is to collaborate with someone on one level where we Okay, this is the mother of my partner. That's cute. To collaborate with someone on one level where I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Actually, this
just
is a problem with Apple. They don't know how you can turn off SMS. My phone is turned off, but I get my SMS on
okay.
on the screen. So, dear Apple people, if you watch this amazing podcast, could you please do something about it? Because I know a lot of online yoga teachers who also are facing the same problem. Okay. No, but my dream would be a person I trust, a person who loves my artistical approach, a collaboration with an agent who um, takes the management part. And right now, this is my partner doing this for fun. He helped me building this orchestra. He's a top manager. He knows how to do the economic stuff, the stuff that I don't want to deal with. He know how to do these things, and he's a classical lover, so he put all his heart into it, and I'm very grateful for this. And
But are these managers from the agencies usually? I mean, are they musicians at all, or how do they know the repertoire at all, or is it more that they look at what sells and what doesn't sell, and that's it?
well, of course, they have to look at what sells and what does not sell. I cannot tell you the truth behind agencies. Of course, students ask me, should we go to agencies or not? And I can only say, well, try it out. It has worked for me for some periods of my life. Right now, as I told you, I prefer not being with an agency because also the jump ins are very stressful, you know. And I had my kids were even smaller. I would suddenly get a message that, okay, tomorrow 9 a.m. is your flight. You have to do Doherty percussion concerto. This. Got the music as a PDF on my phone. Okay, well, yeah, it makes you feel like a conductor. Woo, yes, but it's super stressful. And hey, if some manager says like, hey, Nazanin, let's work together, I've watched your stuff, I believe in you, I think this is amazing, open doors, sure. But it doesn't work like this these days. You see, some agencies have preferences. For some people, they even told me like, I impress the wild woman, this is too much for them. Like, what? I'm like,
Like
okay,
that's
I can make
nothing.
this for you. Well, and then you like look at the roster, and they really only have the brave and the normal lady with the blazer with the frack, and I don't wear this stuff. Sorry, look at what I do on stage. There is enough material to dig into. It's not like I'm an enigma. It's an open book, what I do, what I'm capable of. And I think for me, the most important, the older I get, is the good atmosphere, the quality of cooperation. This is very vital to me. I need to feel good about what I'm doing, and I need to feel good about the 20% that I'm giving off to a person of trust, and it has to be a person of trust. And this has not happened the past years, and it's okay. Let's see what life brings. I'm open.
This was really interesting to hear because as a composer, it's really hard to imagine the world of the managers for conductors and soloists and so on. So
Yeah, well,
it's also
for us
always interesting to hear.
composers, yeah, it's the publisher, right?
Well, yeah, if you have one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also there, I think it would be lovely to. I mean, you don't have to be best friends, but it has to be a collaboration on a good level, on a level where you feel safe and where you feel respected and where you have respect for that person. And also that I would like from an agency, from an agent, no matter or female or male.
I
And
heard a story about an important composer. I'm not going to say who it is, but an important composer who has been writing quite a few orchestra pieces, and at some point wanted to write for a friend a guitar piece, I think, and he was like, I would like to do that, and the publisher was, no, you're doing orchestra pieces, so go on. And then
I heard that. I know
apparently,
actually. Yeah.
yes, and apparently he did that in his free time, and then he just
Oh, oh.
brought and was like, okay, this is the piece, I did it anyway. Fine, I guess we'll publish that also. And yeah, I mean, it would be nice to know that you can also take what you want, no, not just what you're given. But
I think, Nazanin, what you said about the mutual trust and respect, that's really something you need. And whenever I will have maybe one day a publisher, I will pick it with this criteria, like that I need to trust that they really pick me because they trust my artistic choices, and
except
you
that
know,
for
not just
publishers,
because they want my 20%.
except that for publishers, you apply and they pick you. So it's pretty hard to get there, but
Yeah, it's a difficult subject because I have different experiences with agencies, and also very unnice experiences. And I tell you, it was not fun to see that this one agency was just collecting female conductors, no matter what quality, no matter what background, no matter what education and what experience on stage. And so,
then
that's why.
what would be the ideal like gender equality in your opinion for for conductors, let's say?
What do you mean?
Like, I think you would probably want to live in a world where it doesn't matter, right? Like, you don't pick someone because they're a girl, or you don't pick them because they're a girl.
No, I don't think of my sex. I don't think of my gender when I'm working. Like, I had this jump in at the Wiener Volksoper, and I'm about to sign the contract. And the guy tells me, older generation, okay, Viennese, I know the humor, which is very sexistic, but can be very fun though. And he's like, but Mrs. Aghakhani, tell me, Mrs. Aghakhani, how is it to be a female conductor? And especially when you're so beautiful. I'm like, and you have to know that I've been mobbed until I was 20 about my appearances. So I still have difficulties now. Now I know, but I know many, many, many wonderful, talented women out there. I'm not saying that I belong to them, but Janine Jansen, she still needs to hear from Daniel, from her husband, that she's beautiful. I still need to hear it because I've been mobbed for so many years. So I was just sitting there, it was a few years ago, and I was like, okay, listen, first of all, I don't think of my gender while I'm working. Or are you thinking of your sex while you're sitting with me? This is first of all. Probably he was actually, but hey. The second thing is, do you want an ugly conductor? Thank God you think I'm beautiful. So let's just sign and get on with it.
That's great.
I mean, so stupid, right?
Yeah.
And I don't look, the whole thing is changing. I know so many people with the third sex, the transgender, the transitional gender. So this is coming up. I mean, and Simone Young says she does not want to talk about the female thing. Also a choice. I'm okay talking about it because it still needs to be addressed because it's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. And I even have a theory. My son, I have to tell you this actually. We were in the first lockdown, we were just doing fun orchestra thingy. I was conducting and they were imitating orchestra members. They were making even fun of it, like, oh, I don't know where I am, and these things. And, oh, I'm not looking at the conductor. They were making fun of me. Okay. And then they had to conduct. And my daughter is 6, my son is 10. And then my son was irritated after my daughter conducted. He said, your women are the better conductors. I mean, we guys, we're not that bad with the rhythm, but you women, you have something that we don't have. It's my son. And I mean, I don't know if we're bad with the rhythm. I don't think so, because my theory is we women were actually forced to go with the moon. We have the rhythm every month, where I have different theories with that, and I just dream of the day when the the lady asks me on national or international TV, so how is it to be a female conductor? And it's like, well, you I don't know, you might bleed once a month, but you're in rhythm, you're with nature. Yeah, it's not that easy, but it's fun. It's just wonderful. And we have the better rhythm. I would love to say that one day, but no.
Maybe we wrap it up with the good rhythm then.
Yeah, no, I think the third gender is coming up, and I think actually, if you look at Corenzis and all these people, they are going more for the funky. So actually, I'm thinking of getting a tattoo and some piercings, because then maybe, no, I'm kidding, but it's going more towards that direction. So that's why I actually compared the conductor with the actor, and the composer is more the writer, the screenplay. It's more behind
Believe me, if you said you're Muslim, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're female. If you put some piercings and I don't know, you tattoos, tattoo also, and make some kind of funky look, you will be irresistible for any.
I know. I actually had this stuff during studies. It did not work out. I had shaved head, I had Mohican, I had blonde hair. It all did not work out. So I go for the normal looks, and let's see. I don't know. Maybe the portal opens one day. I don't mind. I prefer doing really precious music. And this orchestra that we founded in July, this pop-up orchestra, one rehearsal. Nobody believes me. One rehearsal. And there is a Sibelius on YouTube you can watch. I will post also my pieces. Amazing people, and amazing quality, people from the Volksoper. And these are the things I strive for.
Yes.
These are the things. I don't want to be guest somewhere where you know what happens when you're a guest? And first of all,
they see 1 minute to tell us.
You have this name. They see the name on the list, on the rehearsal list of the orchestra. So they see Nazanin Aghakhani, whatever. So it starts like that. They don't greet you day one. Don't think they Google you. They don't Google you. Day two, they still don't greet you. Day three, they suddenly greet you, and you know why? Because there was an article about you in the local papers. Then they suddenly greet you because there's a biography, there's an interview. Then they see, she's been around the corner. She can talk several languages. She's not an analphabetic, whatever. But I don't miss those times, to tell you the truth. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's politics in the end.
Yeah, and it's so unnecessary. I trust my violin, I trust my cello, percussion, whatever. I want the same trust from the start, just because I'm from a different ethical group. I mean, I don't get it. Yeah.
Dear Nani, we have to go now, but thank you very, very much for this wonderful podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
It was great.
It was really nice to talk with you.
Success to both of you.
I'm already thinking of part 2, but maybe we talk about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, anyway, thank you for having me. Have a good teaching session, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Kiitoksia.
Thank you, Nani. Thank you very much, Niilo. And to everybody else, like, share, and subscribe. And do something with the bell, because we don't know what it does, but it's great. So click everything you see, and keep tuned in to KeyKulture podcast. Have a great day, everybody.